the question correctly and everything remains connected and they touch the statue and it shocks them. Or they answer incorrectly and the priest just goes boop and like moves the one little connector,
Flips
right?
a switch, basically.
Flips the switch, essentially, right? And they touch it and it doesn't shock them.
I like it.
I like it.
Yeah,
I
that's a
like
cool
it
theory.
a lot. You know, maybe there would be a mysterious kind of blue flash of like static electricity of some sort.
Oh, yeah, that's a great point, because at that time, the static electricity exists, and everybody will have seen it from time to time. You don't know what causes it.
Yeah.
Nobody says, oh, it's static electricity.
It's
You have no idea what it is, and there's probably some local folklore name to it, so when...
It's God. God is the local folklore
this
name.
particular God has reached out and created this reaction. That's a good one.
Yeah. So, you know, it could have been that. It could have just been like a magician could have been using it. A lot of people made their living kind of traveling around performing miracles and feats of magic and stuff like that.
Kind of a carpetbagger.
Yeah, so, you know, if you could just say, oh, if you touch this magical idol of God, you will get shocked, and nobody would have known what that was all about.
You know, it could actually have been for just a sort of a gag thing, too, like a joy buzzer, like, you know, those little things you wear in your hands, you know, to shock people. Yeah, I mean, there's no reason somebody couldn't have, you know, some ancient king maybe couldn't have said, you know, like, you know, had his courtiers behind him with like 20 of these jars all wired in series that they're carrying, and he's got the wires running down his sleeve to his hand, and he goes to shake your hand and you get zapped, you know, and he has a good chuckle at your expense. Yeah.
I mean, you know, this is a time when a lot of miracles and mysterious things are being recorded.
A lot of mythos happen.
A lot of mythos happened in this time, and people were just fanatic for proving that they were telling the truth. And I think that people would go to kind of any lengths to prove that they were telling the truth. And, you know, having this little kind of carpet trick, it's a tiny little battery, super easy to be concealed. You don't need that many of them. 2 volts is enough. You touch something that's metal and you're not expecting any kind of electrical current, you feel a slight tingling of your hand, and other people are doing it or feeling the same thing. That's enough. You know, for a lot of people in a time like this, that's enough.
Well, and it's not something you're used to.
Well, you don't expect it. You don't know what's going to happen.
And here's the one thing that I find so funny about... I don't ascribe to it being a battery per se, but I don't really know what this thing is for. This is one of those, you know, it can be this, it can be that.
Yeah.
It's just so long. There's so little data on it. But what I find so funny is that everybody just flocks to, if it was a battery, where are the wires? There's no holes coming out of the top of it for the wires, and they sealed it with bitumen, which is basically asphalt.
Yeah.
It's naturally occurring asphalt, so it seals it, so it's got to have the wires to make the connection. Well, there's no holes for the connection. Okay, well, it's found outside, and what does asphalt do when it sits in the sun? It gets hot and it melts and it distorts. So if some yo-yo came along and found this and yanked the wires out to use them in something else and then tossed it on the ground and it sits in the sun for a couple of years, the holes where the wires were at are going to seal themselves up just from expansion and contraction.
The thing that I actually saw was a theory that they had just like wrapped a little bit of copper around in between where the copper and the asphalt were, so that it would connect to the inside where where the electricity would be. And then you would just put like 2 little wires on the outside, and then the copper would have, you know, disintegrated or whatever. Over time. But I think, you know, there are a lot of ways to explain where were the wires.
But that's the one thing that I laugh at is, you know, I said, well, somebody took the wire. What nobody seems to consider, and I'm not saying I'm the expert on this and that I've got the perfect theory, but it just seems odd to me that nobody says, well, I wonder if anybody messed with this thing and gutted it for the stuff that they wanted, because as we've talked about on other shows, that's common.
Yeah.
You take materials that are existing and you use them on something else, which means that it could have had something on the outside, a wire on the inside, who knows what it is, and some guy could have, I could totally use this. Yank, toss it back in the sand and walk away.
Yeah, totally.
The other thing I think that's possible is that somebody could have just been like, you know, a scientist, inventor type, just experimenting around and and finds this thing that generates a little bit of electricity. And then just thought it over and thought, well, what can I possibly use this for? It's kind of a neat parlor trick, I guess. But really, it's not useful. So he just sort of chunked it on the junk pile in the backyard. Mm-hmm. And went on to invent the shovel or something else instead. So it's it's entirely possible that somebody was experimenting around trying to create electricity, but they just had no application for it.
Yeah.
And so it just went on the junk heap. It's like, well, cool idea, but kind of useless.
Yeah, very possible.
Yeah. I think it's the religious or parlor trick situation.
I think that's a cool idea. Yeah. I just, without having more of them, I can't follow that.
That's fair. Yeah. What do you think?
I really, the thing is that this one has got so much conflicting stuff.
You just don't know. Yeah.
I'm hesitant to lean towards one because there's just too many gaps.
Just pulling the skeptic card.
Wow. I am.
Yeah, no,
Joe, what do you think?
Aliens.
Of course.
No, Santa Claus. No, I think I'm still leaning kind of towards the papyrus, the scroll.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Papyrus scroll. I think that's a compelling explanation for it.
I think so too. If you have theories, if you want to let us know.
Hand grenade?
No, it's not a hand grenade. Send us an email. The email address is thinkingsidewayspodcast@gmail.com. Check out our website. We're going to post some links, some pictures. You can listen to the show there, or you can, click a little link and email us directly from the site. That website is thinkingsidewayspodcast.com. You can listen to us on iTunes. If you do listen to us on iTunes, please leave us a comment and a rating, or either or both.
Yeah.
Preferably both.
Either or. I'm okay with that.
I like both.
Well, you can't comment without rating, so. Can't do either or.
Oh.
Dang it. All right. Then do both, I guess. And if you forget to download us, I know that,
you'll go to hell.
Probably aren't going to forget to download us. But if you do, and you're on the go and you want to listen, check out Stitcher. We're on Stitcher. You just listen to it on literally any smart device, any device that connects to the internet. You can get Stitcher on. Oh, and find us on Facebook.
Yes.
Oh, we're on Facebook. That's right. Yes. Keep forgetting about that.
Yeah. Anyways, thanks for listening.
We'll talk to you next week. Bye, guys.
So long.
Hey guys, Steve here. You are listening to one of our original 26 episodes. If you've listened to any of our new episodes, you're going to notice that we're sounding a little different in these ones.
Yeah, there's a reason for that.
There is.
They've been remastered.
They have been remastered.
Because they had a really annoying hum.
Yeah, a huge thanks to listener James for doing almost all of the legwork on this thing.
Yeah.
You'll also notice if you had listened to what we're calling the Lost 26 episodes before, and you're re-listening now, the music and sound effects are gone.
Yes, yeah. We've gone back to straight audio. So be warned, we sound a little different today than we do in what you're about to listen to.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Thinking Sideways.
I don't understand.
Does not compute.
You never know.
Insufficient data to formulate a reply.
Stories of things we simply don't know the answer to.
Welcome to Thinking Sideways. I'm Devin.
I'm Steve.
I'm Joe.
And I have an interesting thing to talk about today.
Like kind of a conundrum sort of thing?
It's, a mystery. Let's just get started. It's a little bit of a mystery. So in rural China, in a location that is widely considered to be uninhabitable by humans, there are 3 openings into a mountain called Mount Baigong, that contain hundreds of very out-of-place artifacts.
So this is an out-of-place artifact story?
It's an out-of-place artifact story.
Okay.
Do you know what an out-of-place artifact story is? So out-of-place artifacts are really, really unusual or found in really improbable contexts. Things like the crystal skulls of Mexico that they referenced in the Indiana Jones movie recently. There's an iron pillar in Delhi.
India.
Yeah. And there's I I can never say the name, that mechanism that they found in Greece that was sunk in a ship.
Yeah, the one that's supposed to be like an old clock or something.
Yeah, but
I
that's
do
like
know the
from
name of
a
that
really
one,
long
and-
time ago. Yeah, I can never say the name. I'm sure that we'll talk about these in the future.
Yeah,
There is, yeah.
These are all
looking
really,
into.
really
So
interesting.
and that one's really
out of
crazy.
place artifacts. But so this one is they're iron pipes, and some of the pipes run deep into the mountain, and others run under a lake. Some of them run near a lake.
And they come through the cave system?
They come through the caves. Yeah. There are pipes that they run all over this little area here. They're cleanly cut, which indicates that they were used at one time and that they were man-made.
Okay. So they're just pipes.
Well, they're just pipes, but archaeologists have dated them to a time when humanity was still trying to figure out fire.
That's what, 8,000 years ago?
Yeah.
That's longer than that, but still a long time ago.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think we figured out fire like more like 100,000 years ago or something like that. But
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
So and I couldn't find any dates. I looked at a lot of sites, and everything just references like when we were still basically Neanderthals. It says, as we're figuring out how to work fire, this is the time frame for these pipes.
And I remember reading about this, that there was something about correct me if I'm wrong, Devin, but isn't there stuff about the fact the Chinese government said they did all kinds of research, but then they never released their research? And
Yeah.
part of that was the dating? They never said what it was?
Yeah, so there's a lot of controversy around these.
So they have
There's
not-
not a lot of data, and it's partially because it comes out of China. I think the government has funded a lot of different research into has ever really been released.
And they haven't allowed any foreign scientists in to have a
No.
look at these things?
No.
Damn them.
Yeah.
They're annoying.
So the pipes, according to tests carried out by a local smeltery, is that how you say that word?
Smeltery?
Smeltery?
A smelter?
Smelter.
Smelter?
Yeah.
Smelter
I never-
factory?
I never heard of a smeltery, but maybe they exist.
There's somebody who specializes in these sort of things.
It's a place that makes iron.
Yeah.
You smelt iron.
Yeah. These pipes, they sent a sample to this place. They're made mostly of iron, but they have an unusually high 30% of silicon dioxide, which is what our manhole covers are made out of.
Oh.
Right? So that's the same percentage. However, it's a very odd mixture to find in an era when we didn't really know how to make fire, even, right?
Well, had they consulted any geologists? I mean, does this occur naturally, this particular mixture?
Maybe.
Ever?
Oh, we'll get to that.
Oh, okay.
A lot of people think that they're using that information to say that these are alien made.
Of course, it's an out-of-place artifact, so
It's
it
an
must
out of
be
place, so it must be aliens.
There's only one problem with that. And why would aliens be messing around with iron? You know, you'd think they'd make them out of titanium or plastic or.
Well,
some
iron's
space
easily
age.
found in Earth.
That's a good point.
Right,
Yeah.
it's very easy to find. So, the problem with these iron pipes is that if they are man-made, and it seems they may be, they were being made before there's any way that we could be, smelting iron.
So they're not man-made; they're alien-made.
Maybe.
Yeah.
That's one of the theories, right?
They're not naturally occurring, I think is what you're getting at.
Well, there's a theory that says they are.
Okay.
But we'll get
I'll
to
let
that.
you run with this.
There are some theories about this. 2 are scientific, and 1 is the aliens theory.
Aliens!
We're finally doing aliens.
I know.
So
Really good, but anyway, and by the way, I don't mean to. We should let our listeners know that we're not saying that believing in aliens is not scientific.
No,
Not that there's anything wrong with that. I mean,
It's the
hey.
easy answer for
Yeah,
I know.
it's a go-to answer very
Yeah.
often. And I think that one of the arguments that one of my problems with the aliens theory is that it's really narcissistic of us as humans to say, well, aliens took such an interest in us that they built all this stuff,
Actually, they actually built it in an area of the world that's probably far away from where humans lived at that time.
well, in an
Because-
area that is inhospitable to humans.
Yeah.
So the other thing that
It was an alien spa.
Yeah.
Right. So some of the things that add to this alien theory are that the pipes travel below the lake bed, which again, we couldn't even figure out how to make fire. How are we going to figure
Bore a
out how
pipe.
to? Yeah, well, and they go horizontally under there. So like you lay that. I mean, that's an impressive feat. You know, even 100 years ago, it's a pretty impressive feat to be able to lay something underwater.
How did they? So it's actually not. They don't run through the lake. They run under the bottom of the lake bed. So
Yep.
So did they use like ground radar to find this? How did they find that these
They've
things
followed
actually?
the pipes
So they
because they're all
follow.
connected.
How did they follow them though? Did they dig up the bottom of the lake bed?
I don't know that.
But yeah, these things are really small, so I'm guessing they scoped them somehow.
Yeah, that would be my assumption
Yeah,
too.
okay.
So then they run parallel to the lake bed and then up into the mountain and through the mountain, and they run vertically up all the way to the top of the mountain, where as previously mentioned, up at the top of this mountain, humans can't live there.
There's not enough oxygen.
There's not enough anything.
Yeah. So like, how uninhabitable is this area? Like, what's the local ambient temperature?
I don't know that information, and I can't find it anywhere.
Really? Same for the height at the top of the
Yeah, I
mountain.
can't find any of that information.
Another.
Which is bizarre.
Yeah.
The only thing, that comes up on searches of Mount Baigong is these pipes.
Oh, really? Yeah. It's kind of annoying.
Yeah, it's very annoying.
There's probably some geology website somewhere, or geography website, excuse me,
Probably.
that's actually got the altitude of the mountain.
Yeah.
But what I'm interested in finding out is, like, have they done any archaeological digs, like on the top of the mountain, where some hypothetical spaceport might have been, to see if there's any remnants?
So, actually, yes, kind of.
Yeah.
Maybe. The other thing that UFOologists maintain about this being an alien site is that there's a, quote, pyramid up at the top of the mountain.
You mean the peak of the mountain?
It's not the peak of the mountain. No, it's like off in the side. And apparently nobody has ever tried to excavate this pyramid, which seems like highly unlikely, right? As far, like, literally, I could not find any information, and all of the reports that I read had said that there's maybe this pyramid up here. It might be natural, but nobody's ever done any research on it, which is bizarre to me given the amount of attention to these pipes.
Yeah, that's a little weird.
So there may be some information suppression going on there. It's China.
Yeah.
As far as I can tell, pretty much everybody agrees, even except for like the craziest of the crazy people. Pretty much everybody agrees that the pyramid is just like a natural formation on a mountain. Mountains get weird formations all the time. The other thing that supports the alien theory is that there's a really big anecdotal history within the locals that the Baigog pipes were created by aliens, that these people ancestors were very frequently visited by aliens. And, you get a lot of those stories throughout history. But, there are weird stone carvings around the pipes in the caves, and they've been there for a really long time. And, if the local legend has it that it's been aliens, it's in Chinese, and I just have to take everybody's word for that's what they're saying, that it's not like a loose translation of what they're saying. It's not like people came from the sky, that they're actually saying beings from a different world came here. Okay, maybe it's aliens. There are similar pipe-like structures that have been found from Jurassic sandstone in southwestern United States, and some citronella formations in Louisiana that are generally linked to these pipes.
So they're similar
Yeah.
constructs or structures.
They are pipe-like things. The similarity kind of stops there, that they're like these hollow kind of pipe things. They're not made of metal.
Okay.
They're just kind of tubes through fossil.
All right.
So that leads me to
But there's no
where
iron in these things then?
No.
Oh, okay.
So that leads
Yeah.
me to the scientific explanations. One is that they're fossilized casts of trees that were like brought in by a flood and then incorporated into the stone, which it seems to be that the quote pipes in Louisiana and the ones in the southwestern United States might actually be that. Those pipes are really like kind of twisty, turvy, like roots would be.
Okay.
They could very easily be, fossilized roots, fossilized trees, like you would notice in a tree. So that was the theory, and a Chinese scientist who was sent in by the government said he found fossils of tree rings also in the pipes.
Oh, really?
Then he said, when they said, but, trees don't grow that straight and narrow because they're pretty little. He said, oh, yeah, no, I mean, it was bamboo. But bamboo doesn't grow tree rings.
Yeah.
So that story doesn't totally add up.
Yeah.
And they're really little. And they're made of iron. So like,
okay.
Oh, baby.
And that was the theory that I hadn't seen that when I did the research on this story. The first thing I thought was it had to be some kind of bamboo-like plant that then shot a giant taproot, or had the bamboo had been covered and then absorbed minerals from around it. And of course, bamboo's naturally hollow.
Right.
So that was the first thing my mind went to. Is it's bamboo.
Yeah.
Jeez, how hard is this to figure out?
Which I think is a great theory, except for that it's
the tree ring, the rings in the pipe.
Yeah, he said it was tree ring. He said that he found tree rings, which is like obviously not true. And then scientists also say that it's just like a natural formation. Just like, oh yeah, that just formed naturally because it was a mix of silicon dioxide and calcium oxide, and just natural. Which for me is like, okay, but do natural formations, are they hollow like that usually? And then also, do they like form in so many like vastly different situations and so vertically and horizontally and connect? I think if it were just like, oh, there are a couple pipes kind of around, that's one thing, but there are hundreds of these things, and they are pretty much, they run pretty true to like the cardinal directions. They run in totally different, areas. They run vertically and horizontally, and not like diagonally, not really just like with the flow of anything. So those are the theories.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the aliens, there's the tree rings, or trees that got buried theory. And
which doesn't sound very credible.
It's just natural formation.
Naturally formed somehow through
osmosis or whatever.
Yeah.
Wait, how big are the biggest ones of these?
Like 40 centimeters.
Okay, so they're not, the biggest ones aren't that big.
Yeah, they're not that big. I think there are some. Yeah, they're mostly like 10 to 40 centimeters. I'm sorry. We're in America. 16 inches, 4 to 16 inches.
And
16 inches is like, it's not little.
So wait, is that 16 across or in circumference?
I think it's across.
Okay, so a 16
diameter,
inches across okay, so some of them are pretty big chunks of pipe then.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so if the ones that they find that are say 16 inches across, do they stay that diameter, the whole length of the pipe?
Yeah, so they're like a reddish brown like pipe.
Rusty pipe color.
Like a rusty pipe color. They range from 260 feet long to like 130 feet. It's pretty long stretches of pipe.
So what happens at the end? I mean, do they just stop? Do they just break? I mean, do we know? Because if we don't know that, that just is part of the course of this story. Because there seems like there's many,
like a lot of information that we don't
there's
know.
a lot of information.
Yeah,
whether
we
it's
don't.
suppressed or just not released.
We don't.
Yeah, and it's probably pretty hard. Without actually digging them up, and then draining the entire lake and then digging them all up. It's like
so they find like strange rusty scraps around these areas and strange stones and stuff like that. I assume the ones that are preserved are the ones that are like under the lake, embedded in the shore, or like in rock. If they are in fact 100,000 years old and they've been just like left to the elements, they're gonna corrode and just dissolve.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. If they're as old as they say, if it's full of iron, it should have rusted away a long time ago.
So they seem really rusty. But, so I don't know what I just think these are really interesting.
Oh, no, this is because it's fraught with,
right.
As we've talked about it, so many issues have come. Okay, well, if it's a piece of iron or rust, it's going to rust away. Yeah. And we've all dealt with a rusty pipe that's been in a house for, let's say, 50 years.
Yeah.
That thing falls apart.
Yeah. They do kind of rust.
They're stuck in the ground.
You would think they would have rusted away, but it might be
disappeared after 100,000.
Yeah, I guess the only thing is that they're embedded in rock. Right, so you kind of maybe they're better preserved.
Maybe
they
don't oxidize as badly. I guess.
If they would stay perfectly preserved until they're exposed to oxygen. Because until they bring them up to the surface, and that's when the deterioration starts.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I think the obvious answer is to.
He's always got the
obvious answer.
No. I mean, the obvious answer to find out what's going on is just to send in archaeological teams and start digging around for other artifacts in the soil. Because if the aliens popped in and laid this whole network of pipes, they had to have left a bunch of other stuff.
Well, there's stones.
Yeah, there's stones.
There's weird stones, and that's literally all the information that there is on those stones. Is that they just describe them as like weird stones.
Yeah,
I've got some of those in my backyard.
Like
Yeah, me too.
every single thing that you read, even the wiki, like everything is just like, oh yeah, and some strange stones are around there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like,
helpful.
well, how are they strange?
That's pretty
like,
useful. Yeah.
That's
really,
so unhelpful.
I've got to admit right now, this story frustrates me just because of the fact that we can't get any information on it.
Yeah, and it's out of China.
It's one of those stories that seems as if we let people in there and we got some pros who could go in and spread whatever findings they had to the world,
Well.
whatever this is would be solved and dead and gone. But instead, for cultural reasons, we don't hear any of it.
Right.
That's what's frustrating. It's like, it's so easy to just go find the answer. Or maybe the mystery's bigger than we don't know, but now we don't have to rely on that's why we don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that people are kind of satisfied with the misinformation because most people are just like, yeah, it's bamboo. It's clearly just fossilized bamboo. But, bamboo fossilized doesn't turn into iron. I mean,
Yeah. The other
it
thing
just
about
doesn't.
it is, because I have never seen or heard of bamboo getting like 16 inches in diameter.
It gets pretty big.
Yeah, it gets big. I mean, I've seen like 5-6 inch diameter bamboo.
Yeah, I have
which
too,
is
but
huge.
I don't know. I don't know of it ever going to true tree trunk proportions.
Yeah. So I just think that it's really frustrating, and I think it's really interesting. And they were discovered in the early 2000s. So I mean, it's been around for a while. 2002, I think, was the year that they.
Oh, so it's only been 10 years or so that we've known of their existence.
Yeah.
As it's spread to the rest of the world to know about.
Right, but it's frustrating because if they are that old, then there are some serious mysteries to be solved here.
Yeah.
There are definitely artifacts that are found around the world that are dated to be just incredibly old, to be, really past what we think humanity was capable of at that time. So, either our timeline of humanity is off or our timeline of those things are off, or there's something else going on. And I just want to know. It's a very interesting.
Yeah. Humanity. I mean, ancient man was able to do some amazing things.
Absolutely,
I mean,
but smelt iron for pipes.
Well, the thing about it is like, I'm not sure exactly how this was. I'm not sure exactly when mankind actually started moving out of Africa and into Asia and places like that. And it wasn't really that long ago.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, I'd have to go on the World Wide Web to actually look that up.
Sure.
But, so this sounds like this kind of predates that. Because,
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
There are definitely some other mysteries that I'm sure we will do shows on that, kind of tie into the same theme of things we've found that are really old that should predate human capability but are
An out of place object.
out of place artifacts.
Yeah.
Artifact. Sorry, yeah, you're right.
But yeah, it is true though that our whole paleontological history or whatever the hell it is about mankind or archaeological history. We might have missed some major important clues, and maybe mankind. Actually, some really smart tribes actually moved out of Africa, way before we thought, before we know about it. And maybe they,
There's always
went out and flourished and built civilizations.
Yeah, there
It's
could
possible.
be. There's always that theory of the lost civilization. This one group that left accelerated, but for whatever reason died off, and all the knowledge that they had was lost because a lot of civilizations, because they didn't have writing that we know of, transferred all their knowledge verbally, and so when the last one died off, all that knowledge was gone, and it had to be rediscovered later on.
Fun
and we just
fact.
take slower.
Yeah.
Fun fact for the day.
What's that?
When Cleopatra was born, the pyramids were already 1,200 years old.
Whoa. I did not know
Just
this.
to give a scope of civilization.
Yeah. Hey.
That's crazy. You don't think about that. And I think
they were
that
being built when she was an adult. Is what you always see.
you just that she was part of that, but no.
Hey, another
they were
fun-
ancient already.
Yeah, another fun fact, speaking of that part of the world, Pontius Pilate. You know who Pontius Pilate was,
absolutely,
right? Do you know where he was born?
Wait, can we back up?
Yeah.
Who is that?
Pontius Pilate.
Yeah.
He was the Roman governor of Palestine.
Oh, okay.
When Jesus was crucified.
Okay.
Yeah. So Pontius Pilate's birthplace was none other than England. Because actually the Roman Empire extended as far north as about half of England.